Okay, a couple things before we get started here on the integumentary system. Just wanted to go over with you guys the quiz real quick. Everybody seemed to do pretty well. A couple people really struggled with the ideas and concepts of categories for prefixes and suffixes. And what I wanted to say to you guys about that is if you feel like you're struggling, you feel like you're not grasping the concepts, please contact me. Reach out on the discussion boards, reach out via email, text, phone call, set up a web chat with me so we can make sure you understand that and have a good understanding moving forward. So, just wanted to say that real quick. Another important thing is that format and spelling are going to start counting in the auto grading system. So I've listed here the correct formatting for combining forms here. This is how they need to be put on the quiz. If they're not put in this format, if you choose to put a complete term in there utilizing the combining form, or choose to do something else, you will not get the point. And I will not award that to you since I've warned those who did it on the first quiz, even though I gave them credit. And also, I've warned you here again. So this is how it needs to be. Spelling and formatting need to be correct moving forward. This week we're talking about skin, the structures in the skin, hair, nails, and glands. Very important this week and something that we have to all wrap our minds around. In the medical language, there are multiple words that mean the same thing. So, in multiple of these, there are multiple combining forms that mean the same thing. For example, skin, we have cutano, dermato, and dermal. All of them mean skin. So we have subcutaneous and hypodermic. These mean under the skin. These are the same term, but they're two different combining forms. So all of these can be utilized to mean skin. And so we have to familiarize ourselves with that. Make sure you understand that concept. It will be very important this week. There's other terms utilized to describe skin conditions, and they can be used to describe things other places as well. But you need to familiarize yourself with these as well. It will be important this week. Squamous cell, as in squamous cell carcinoma, a scaly cancerous growth. Xero is dry xerotic skin, so that's dry skin. Melano is black, so malignant melanoma is a cancerous blackened tumor. And kerato is a horny tissue, so this is hyperkeratotic tissue, excessive horny tissue, also known as a callus. So make sure you spend time familiarizing yourself with the descriptor terms here. Hair is the same way. There are multiple roots and combining forms for hair, pylo and tricho. You need to know and be familiar that those can mean the same thing. The same thing with nails. Onycho and ungo, these are the same, right? Onychia is infection of the nail. Subungual hematoma, collection of blood beneath the nail, right? Subungual, beneath the nail. Hematoma, collection of blood. So, these mean nail, both terms. Also commonly associated with nail is the myco, which is fungus. And we're talking about fungus a little bit, fungus in the nail, fungus in the skin this week. So onychomycosis, fungus in the nail. And important to remember here, two root words, combining forms can be linked together. Onycho and then myco, these are and then the suffix there. Another example of this is dermatomycosis, right? Infection of skin with fungus, right? Dermato, skin, myco, fungus, infection of the skin with fungus. The same thing goes with fat here. We're talking about multiple root words. They all mean fat. Adipo, lipo, and ciato, right? And all these terms tell you, right? Accumulation of fat, adiposis, hernia containing fat, lipocele, and steatus, right? Inflammation of adipose tissue. Sweat glands, the same thing. So this concept repeats over and over, and they're going to want you to know it for the quiz that you can have multiple different combining forms of root words mean the same thing. So the sweat glands is hydro and sudor, right? So hidradenitis, right? Inflammation of the sweat gland. And then siderosis, profuse sweating, aka hyperhidrosis. So here we see two words that mean the same thing, utilizing the different combining forms, but they both mean. And then sebo is the combining form for sebaceous, right? Seborrhea is a discharge of sebum. So make sure you're familiar with those things. So grafting, just one thing I was glancing through things that's kind of a little bit outside it, and it mostly deals as we talk about full thickness burns and things like that. There are different types of grafts, right? There's autograft, there's allograft, and there's xenograft, right? And what they're worried about really is these prefix here, right? This combining form here. Auto, from the same person. Allo, still a human, but not the same person. Xeno comes from a foreign substance like a pig or something like that. So xeno is foreign, and make sure you're familiar with those things, as those will be important for you this week as well. Just something I forgot, this spiritual thought last week. I want to make sure I included that as I was considering what might be important for you guys going over some of your gospel insight words and things like that. Is what about Nephi? What do we learn about learning from Nephi? Well, number one, one of the most quoted scriptures in the church, I will go and do. Learning's all about attitude. And that attitude you can carry with you through the rest of your life, through all your careers, through all your service in the church, through all your service in the community, is that the go and do attitude. And that will take you as high as you'll let it go. That's why Nephi was such a great learner and was able to see so many things, is his great attitude. That's the foundation. Do you have that attitude as you approach your schooling? I will go and do. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make sure I am successful the way that I want to be successful. Number two, when he doesn't understand, he asks. So there's this great part in 1 Nephi that he was desirous to see the things that his father had seen, and in faith he went to the Lord, knowing that the Lord would show those things to him. Do we have that kind of faith? That if we ask, we can get understanding? Are we willing to ask instructors? Are we willing to ask classmates? Are we willing to ask the Lord? Are we willing to humble ourselves enough to realize we don't know everything and begin to ask questions? Because that's where true understanding will start coming from. Questions invite revelation from the Lord. So are we willing to ask? Next, he's a doer. When his bow was broken, everybody else was sitting around moping, complaining about how hungry they were. And here's Nephi. He goes and he builds a bow. And he takes the bow to his father and he asks him where he needs to go to hunt. Are we doers? Do we do our part? Or are we the ones who sit around and complain about how hard the course is or how much material there is to cover? Or are we the doers? Are we just the ones that roll up our sleeves and pray and include the Lord and then go and do the work? Is that if we are those doers, that will be a trait that will be successful for you throughout all of your life. The next thing is he could listen to and recognize promptings. He knew how to do that. It's a critical skill, especially in the world that we live in, to know how to recognize when the Lord is talking to you. When he was getting the brass plates, he received a prompting from the Lord to slay Laban, which was totally contrary to everything he'd been taught. He was raised with the law of Moses, and thou shalt not kill. But he knew that it came from the Lord because he knew how to recognize promptings from the Lord. Do we know how to do that? Have we quieted our hearts? Have we read the scriptures? And have we prayed enough that we can recognize those promptings? If not, I would invite you to do those things, that you can start to learn how to recognize those promptings. Next, he knew how to identify correct sources of information. I think this is a critically important skill in the world we live in today. You can find out whatever you want to find out about whatever you want to find out. And there will be somebody who will say what you want to hear. You can get on Google today and find out 100 different opinions about something. You can find one you like and you can say that that is the gospel according to whoever. But the truth is that it's not the truth. And not all sources are equal. We need to know how to identify correct sources like Nephi. When he had questions, he went to the Lord in prayer. He is the ultimate source of eternal truth, truth that never changes, no matter what's popular in the world. Do we go to the Lord when we have questions about eternal truth? Do we seek out counsel from the prophet and the 12 apostles as a collective body for truth? And do we cling to that truth? Or do we go seeking for somebody who's going to share the same opinion as us? We need to be critical, source critical of all the information we get and all the information that we look at. As Nephi was. He could have listened to his brothers easily, but he chose not to. He knew that the right place to go was to the Lord. The last thing is he understood the importance of keeping the commandments. He understood that in doing that the Lord would bless him. Now, it might not always be easy, and he had many trials as he tried to keep the commandments, but he knew that that was important. Do we know that's important? Do we know that keeping the commandments keeps his spirit close to us? Do we try every day? And do we try again the next day to keep the commandments so that we can be closer to our Heavenly Father? I invite you to think and ponder on these things as you're learning and about different topics. How can you apply these things into your learning model? And lastly, real quick, whoever watched this to the end, congratulations. Email me the references that I just talked about with Nephi and get 1 point added to your overall grade. Have a great week number 3. If you have any questions, contact me, phone, text, email, discussion boards, however works best for you guys. Glad to be working with you all. Have a wonderful week. Thank you.